Maxwell. Happy Tuesday. How are you?
I'm black and beautiful. Last time I checked, PA, I haven't looked in the mirror in a couple hours, though, so I might just be black.
All systems go at the 651 Carpets Plus studio?
Yes, sir, as always.
All systems go here at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. And welcome to TCO PC. Yeah, you know we. And we would be, as in all of us, our Minnesota Vikings are 3-0 and heading to Lambeau Field to open, hopefully, 2 games and a tiebreaker on those formidable foes from the East. Welcome to 9 to noon. It's Paul Allen. Nordo is the on-site producer. You heard from Maxwell Fuller at KFAN. And now we go to Lambeau Field, and we chat with Kevin O'Connell a little later today about the Green Bay Packers and much more. And you head with an undefeated team at 3-0, a team getting a lot of local and national shine. But what if the autumn wind is a Packer pillaging just for fun? This hand-in-the-grass new bit for Rashawn Gary is interesting to watch. You see, they have a new defensive coordinator. His name's Jeff Hafley. And when you watch back some Green Bay Packer moments, you see Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith, a couple of formidable foes, as hand-in-the-grass defensive ends in a 4-3. That's weird. It's new. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it's different, and it's new. And then you see Rashawn Gary stand up as an outside linebacker a couple of plays later, and down goes Will Levis. That's not interesting. That's fact. That's Rashawn Gary. That's the emergence of one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. The hand-in-the-grass trick for Gary and Smith, it's interesting to watch, and it's a lot with this new defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers running this 4-3 base. And with Rashawn Gary and the Green Bay Packers defense, they're going to take on a Minnesota Vikings bunch that is on such a heater. Kevin O'Connell might want to get into his contacts in his phone and schedule a scrimmage with Brady's very best bunch, maybe during the bye week, because until proven otherwise, and there's no sign of a downturn for what with this football team, the Minnesota Vikings are on that heater, and the Green Bay Packers just can't be the autumn wind. They just can't be the autumn wind pillaging for fun. Or can they? You see, the autumn wind knocks you round and upside down and laughs when it has conquered and won. Now, thus, on the other side of a heat check, an autumn wind pillaging just for fun, a border battle that has everybody all wound up. And we'll see you Friday at Buffalo Wild Wings Coon Rapids. Yes, the Sultan of Smug will be there for the final segment, maybe segment or two. Those thriving through 3. And to a certain extent, it would be the Green Bay Packers. They have a loss. They're dealing with a quarterback situation, but they have a winning record. Seattle's undefeated. The Vikings are undefeated. Pittsburgh and so on. Those are teams that are thriving and avoiding the downturn for what? But see, downturn for what has a cousin named Forlorn Fanbases. And here's what we mean. There are forlorn fan bases through 3 games in the 2024 National Football League season, and I'd like to begin with a little Panthers pride. Panthers pride, you say. The Carolina Covenant. Those guys, the Carolina Panthers and their fan base. Their first overall pick, that quarterback, Bryce Young, God bless him, and hopefully he gets a chance to thrive at some point in his career because it ain't happening right now. Their first overall quarterback might be fried. The defense ain't great, sans Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin, who was balling on national television last night. Nobody likes the owner or just flat out fears the owner. Then they win a game to jack with what they hope they have to get their consensus number 1 overall pick in the draft. All that plays into a forlorn fan base. You gain acceptance with your lot in life. You start watching more college football than you've ever watched, trying to figure out who the consensus number 1's going to be, which quarterback is going to supplant Dalton and or Young, and then you go win a game against the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, this is a forlorn fan base, those following Carolina Panthers football. They just don't know. They don't know what's happening right now. They wanted to win games, then they got killed. Then they wanted to win another game, and they got killed. Then the quarterback was replaced, and they thought they'd get killed, and they went on the road, and they busted Vegas. I feel for that fan base right now. That's a forlorn fan base that is supporting the Carolina Panthers. Forlorn fan bases. We have 4 of them. Forlorn you. What's yours?
Well, I'm going to start with the calamitous Cowboys, PA. and it's tough, too, because as Vikings fans, we get it. The Cowboys, the star, the logo.
Yeah.
It's akin to, or it's no different than somebody at a Twins game who grew up in Forest Lake and is wearing Yankees gear. It just doesn't make sense. It's cool for people abroad throughout the country and beyond to say, hey, you're an NFL fan. Yeah, I'm really big into the Cowboys. Okay. Well, the Cowboys took Tyler Guyton in the first round of this most recent draft.
Oh!
The fans are loving it because they remember what it was like to have elite Tyron Smith and Swanson and this offensive line that just could not be beaten. And they believe that's what's going to help keep Dak upright. Oh, hold on. Dak's entering the last year of his deal. Are things going to get negative here?
Come on now.
CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson just got paid. CeeDee's got to be next, right?
Yeah.
No way they're going into camp with him on the 5th-year option, right? Oh, Micah Parsons. How about Micah Parsons, game changer of future HOF caliber?
Come on.
You're going to tell me, let me guess, he wants money too.
Right.
This is a franchise owned and really run by a guy that has never shied away. The owner of the team goes on all the radio shows. Mike McCarthy does not get to talk outside of organized press briefings.
Right.
Jerry Jones runs this thing. He loves the noise. He loves the exposure. He loves the attention. And he has done nothing but soak it in for 35 years. Now, with that said, this is a team followed by a fan base. Many of them passionate, many of them casuals, but for the passionate ones, I do have some form of empathy. I do have some form of sympathy.
Same.
Because this is a team that has won double digits 6 of the last 10 seasons. They have not advanced beyond the divisional round. Does that sound familiar, Vikings fans? Thinking about a team that is constantly winning games, but not there when the final seats are chosen and taken. Not since they won the Super Bowl with Switzer in 95 have the Cowboys advanced past the divisional round.
Wow.
The Vikings in 09, by the way, had a say in that fight with a lambasting of the ages at the Metrodome in the 09 playoffs. But think about it. Double-digit wins, 6 of the last 10.
Right.
You got big names. The Eagles are wonky. It's a chance to take over the NFC East. Oh, hey, how about a reunion? Ezekiel Elliott is back. Love that. Just need him to fall forward, short yardage touchdowns, and we'll let Mr. Dowdle, et cetera, take the rest.
Jump into the Salvation Army kettle after a touchdown and deal with the fine.
And the thing that we talked about for several years actually came to fruition, PA.
What happened?
Mike Zimmer returns to coaching and returns to coaching with the Dallas Cowboys, making the connection of Super Bowl rings and success in years past. They brought back a guy. Regardless of how 10 years ended here, he is one of the great defensive geniuses in NFL history. And if anyone's going to fix that thing, it's going to be Zim.
Amen.
Mike Zimmer in the mix, 11th hour contracts. They paid CeeDee Lamb. They paid Dak Prescott. Let's go. Well, how's that going?
Forlorn fan base.
You come off a lopsided win in Cleveland, so you get the home opener. The Saints are in town. Are you kidding me? With Derek Carr, Michael Thomas Prime is not going to walk back through those doors. Marshawn Lattimore is getting old, and Cam Jordan can barely get off the line of scrimmage on the snap. Actually, Cam Jordan's, one of the great careers, by the way, Cam Jordan, even though he's with the Saints. Thousands of Cowboy fans faithfully sprinting to standing room only seats when the doors open. And then Clint Kubiak drops 30 on the Saints and on the Cowboys in the first half. That's how it's going.
Who dropped that 30?
Saints offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak.
The guy who used to be here?
That is correct.
Oh, jeez.
Alvin Kamara, happy holidays in September. He went for a 4-pack of TDs after scoring 6 on Zimmer and the Vikes a few Christmases ago. They were down 28-6. After that beat down to the Saints, they're hosting the Ravens.
Yeah.
It's Dallas Stadium. This thing's massive. They got the big screen. They pay for it, the party. Mm-hmm. They're down 28-6 before they can even blink. Eventually come charging against the Ravens. 888 yards of offense run on Zimmer's defense, the last two.
Wow.
The last two at home. They've run for 68 and 51 yards, respectively, the last two. Fans don't even know if this Zeke thing's going to work out because they've been down so badly in games early. So now they go on the road to the Giants and Steelers next. They host the Kitties after that. The schedule does not get better for the Cowboys. Double-digit wins, not seeing playoff success, an absolute turmoil of turmoil early on in the season. Again, Cowboys fans, it's tough to empathize with the star.
But we feel for you.
But the hardcore's in the mix, and those people know who they are, who've been watching since the days of Staubach. You guys are down right now. You guys are forlorn, and I'm feeling it.
Yeah, it's a downturn for what? For the Dallas Cowboys. They don't mug the A gap. They're mugging the we are graded as an F gap. And it just ain't working. And, it's 9 to noon. In sympathetic, empathetic fashion, as Mad Producer just laid out, we're feeling for you right now because during that Texans game, outside of the reference Nordo had 2009, the Dallas Cowboys at Metrodome, or the Miracle game at US Bank Stadium. I mean, the decibels and the fan base, specifically when Gas Mask Guy couldn't get out of his own way, it's about as loud as we've ever heard. And it's born of joy and happiness and what is antithetical to forlorn. So instead of being high on the hog with this football team here, being all sultan of smuggish and or braggadocious, we just want to let certain fan bases know we feel you and we feel for you. And we've been on that therapeutic Davenport of love. And we know what it's like to be part of a forlorn four. I mean, shoot, Greg Papa, Vox for the Niners on KMBR, beloved Softy on KJR in Seattle. When they do their forlorn four, we've been part of it before. Ugh. And they didn't sympathize with us.
No, they did not.
They mocked us.
They did.
And ridiculed us and made fun of us and didn't care about our putrid, at that time, pathetic lot in life. Well, we don't want to be those people.
No, we don't.
We want to let the forlorn four know we feel for you.
Yes, we do.
Fans of the Las Vegas Raiders, we feel for you. Do you even truly have a home? Okay, yes, you do. You're at Allegiant Stadium, you're in Las Vegas. But do you truly have a fan base where there can be a forlorn nature to the fans? I mean, those in Alameda or those in Oaktown or those in Walnut or Castro Valley, all those cities in the East Bay, do they even care about you anymore? I mean, you left them twice. Holy cow. And now you're in Las Vegas, which is a transient city. Do you even have do you truly have a fan base or just a bunch of whales on comps because they lost $10K playing Baccarat within the week up to the game? So that's forlorn in its own right. Is the Las Vegas Raiders, they have a transient fan base. The quarterback situation ain't great. The Autumn Wind is not a $7.99 steak and lobster plate at the Horseshoe, all right? They upset the Ravens at Baltimore, and Henderson and Summerlin went crazy. Then they come home to this transient fan base full of a bunch of whales looking for a $7.99 steak and lobster meal at Golden Nugget or Horseshoe, pissed off because they just dropped 10 dimes playing Pie Gow, but they got really good seats out of it. Are those truly fans? They upset the Ravens at Baltimore, and Nevada to a certain extent goes crazy. Then they come home and continue the cultivation of this transient fan base, and damn, they lose to the Carolina Panthers at home. You beat the Raiders on the road, and then you come home and you lose to the worst team in the National Football League. I mean, that's downturn for what? Forever.
Dalton, though.
Right. He and head coach Antonio Pierce, after the game, Vegas head coach Antonio Pierce, after the game said, we had a bunch of players out there making business decisions. Now, what that means is when things ain't going your way, then instead of like tackling Muhsin Muhammad or Wesley Walls at a 10 out of 10 rate, yeah, it's about a 7.5, maybe an 8. And you see somebody coming from the other side, and you don't want to get ear-holed because, it might mess up the gathering you have that evening at Cosmopolitan, hopefully getting some comp butter cake from Mastro's. Nah, that's a business decision. Well, Antonio Pierce knows, and he saw. And after the game, he said, quote, "We had a bunch of players making business decisions. So it's time for us to make decisions now about our business." Ooh. 3 games into it, downturn for what? That's a forlorn fan base.
Did you see Jack Jones, by the way? Jack Jones, I think formerly of the Patriots, cornerback for the Raiders. Mm-hmm. There was either a short screen or a run play to his side.
Business decision.
And he could not have been less interested in even attempting to impede the progress of the Panther.
Wow.
It was embarrassing.
I got a sleeveless outfit for the evening at the club at Caesars, and I don't want to mess up any part of my shoulder and the shine, if you know what I mean.
Well, the problem with Vegas, too, is that the guys and gals that end up going to the games, they're getting comp from Bellagio, and actual Oakland Raiders fans drove all the way in from the East Bay, and they can't get a comp at Binion's.
Yeah, there no longer is a black hole. Okay, like there was at Oakland Alameda Coliseum.
Might be at the quarterback spot.
You can't find beloved Gorilla Guy in the back of the end zone. He's not there.
Because there's a club there now.
Because every seat costs $500. They got a club and a Steely Dan cover band playing during timeouts.
They replaced the black hole with a DJ booth.
That's a forlorn fan base. It's a forlorn fan base that probably lost a majority of its money at the blackjack table before walking into the building. But they didn't lose enough to get pregame on-field passes. Like the Whales, who dropped a bunch of Bellagio, and I lost $10K playing Baccarat, but I got 3 seats on the 50 in pregame sideline passes because they know I'll be back for more tonight. That's a forlorn fan base.
Oh, yeah.
We feel for you. Oh, you know for whom we feel? The Gorilla Outfit guy, and everybody who painted their faces and had season tickets and cared about the black hole. They cared about the black hole where in 2003, my second year calling Minnesota Vikings games, Mike Tice was the head coach. And when we would record our pregame interview, we would record it 90 minutes before the game next to a stanchion of a goalpost on the field. Well, we're thinking 90 minutes before the game, that's going to be cool until you go to Oakland Alameda Coliseum. And Gorilla Guy and everybody in the black holes dropping F-bombs on you when I'm trying to ask about Dwayne Bates. I'm trying to ask about Philip Buchanan covering Randy Moss, and Gorilla Guy's dropping F-bombs on us. Now, that's a fan base. But that's not a fan base at Allegiant Stadium.
The NFL used to care about that. Was the identity of teams, right? And now
the autumn wind is not a $7.99 buffet.
No, the NFL made money, and the NFL grew off of the John Facenda, Steve Zabel written poem.
Right.
And they needed the black hole.
Yes.
They needed the silver and black. They needed the aura.
Yes.
And now they want a dance club in the end zone.
Yeah, they're down 20 to the Carolina Panthers. And we go to break on the KFAN Las Vegas radio network, powered by Planet Hollywood. And then everybody's like all quiet, and they're trying to figure out what's happening here. We're losing to who? By how many? And then all of a sudden you got Nelly, or you got, I think it's Nelly or 50 Cent. Hottie, but hottie. Oh,
Up on the concourse.
Up on the concourse, is it Nelly?
Nelly's a guy. Yeah.
Who sang that song?
It's hot in here. It's Nelly. Yeah.
Hot here. Cheerleaders are going nuts. Bro, we're down 20 points to the Carolina Panthers. It ain't time to be hot in here or dance. That's a forlorn fan base. They're confused, and we feel for you.
Well, and the hardcore fan with his Stabler jersey on turns to his left a high five after Devontae Adams finally gets in the end zone. The guy's like, well, I'm actually a Bucks fan. I traded a guy I couldn't do Springsteen two nights in a row at the Sphere, so he had tickets. So here we are.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Good luck to Devontae.
Yeah, I traded my tickets for 2 in the 10th row to see Celine Dion. I'm from Canada. I hate football. I love the Ottawa Senators. I'm just here to find a $7.99 buffet and hear hot here. Whoa.
My last Forlorn fan base speaks to it's the destitution of Dolphins Nation right now.
Oh, wow.
And speaking of clubs and stadiums, you had an experience with that a couple of years ago down in Miami Gardens. But
the head coach, Mike McDaniel, reminds me of a character from Beavis and Butthead. And I don't know what character, but it's the way he talks. It's not Todd, who had the muscle cars. He's got a little butthead to him, but anyway.
He's field side sweating. He's got those cool shades on. To me, he's a character from an old video game, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Like that's like he looks like a boss that you have to encounter at some point in the game.
And all those tricks and his vernacular and his quirky ways, well, they all work. Until Skylar Thompson's your quarterback, then nobody cares about Beavis and Butthead, Miami Vice, Grand Theft Auto 8, or whatever it is. Nah, it's a downturn for what?
They lost Christian Wilkins. We've talked about Andrew Van Ginkel. The fan base absolutely loved him, and now he's our guy. But we know what the A topic is, right? Yeah. The destitution with the Dolphins is...
Wow.
Are you going to pay Tua? Do you remember that conversation when it was down to Trevor Lawrence ultimately gets paid? Dak at the 11th hour just talked about the Cowboys. Do you pay Tua? And Tua appeared to be stabilized, good to go after all those concussions a couple of years ago. Bills dominant in the division. Can it be time? It's our time, Dolphins fans.
Right.
To win the AFC East and actually host a playoff game. And we saw how they looked last year. Frigid Kansas City, it's like 4 below.
And Josh Allen rolls in there on national television and kills you and kills your quarterback, too.
So how about hosting a game in Miami Gardens? The last time they did that, PA, Tony Sparano was hitting people with the Wildcat. It was Ricky and Ronnie, and the Ravens beat him at home, actually, in, I think, a wild card 2008. But they paid Tua. And Tua's down bad again.
Wow.
And Skylar Thompson just did that isn't it, right? And we've experienced this as Vikings fans. You can the idea in your head that when your starting quarterback goes down, you might have somebody that can win you a couple of games. The Pastronaut, Dobbs delirium, Dobbs. And it worked for a game and a half. It worked in Atlanta, and it worked for the first half of the Saints game, and then we needed smiling Jameis Winston to help us out, throw a couple of awful interceptions, and the Vikings get out alive.
Right.
The season's effectively over for the Miami Dolphins right now.
Right.
Tim Boyle, Tyler Huntley, those are other quarterback options, as in they are not options. They are the worst scoring offense, worst scoring defense in the league through 3. And they might not be favored in another game, except maybe this weekend hosting the Titans, but it's so ugly right now. And the Dolphins from the Marino days, and I think, and somebody can fact check me if I'm wrong, I think Mercury Morris passed away. And I hate to put that on him if he didn't.
It was Sunday, and that sad news popped right in front of the game. Yes, Mercury Morris.
But he's HOF. It's undefeated season. It's Don Shula being carried off the field. Like the history and the equity that the Dolphins had.
We feel for you.
Was immense at that time. And Marino never got it done with a ring, but certainly one of the greatest players in NFL history. But there is a ton of equity and lineage in Dolphins Nation.
And cool-ass uniforms, especially when they wear those aqua jerseys. But anyway.
Correct. And, it's like O.J. McDuffie out there and some of the old names, like growing up as a football fan, like the Dolphins were not an unlikable team.
Right.
Can you feel bad for a fan base that ultimately they're going to look at thongs on the beach and they got Art Deco and they're staying at the Clevelander with Charge? Can you feel bad for that fan base? They have preoccupations of luxury and paradise.
How does Charge catch a stray in this whole thing? But anyway.
But that is a forlorn fan base right now. When you have Tyreek, you have Waddle, you have a flashy offense, you have Jalen Phillips getting healthy, Bradley Chubb getting healthy, and you're thinking that, and they just paid, I believe, they paid Jalen Ramsey on another 3 years. Like, this is a team that feels good. Javon Holland, a great young safety. Like, this is a team that should be on the come, and if they can just get past those pesky Bills, and they couldn't do it, and now Tua his career is potentially. So there's the human element of Tua till you're satisfied. Well,
whatever it is.
Nobody is right now, specifically Tua, because of these concussions, and you just paid him $200 million, and now you're in a spot where this season is effectively done.
Yeah.
And I guess it's back to the beach for Dolphins fans, but I feel for them. It's Vikings fans. We're talking about purple people eaters and multiple generations of people that have been born, lived lives, and never got to see that.
Right.
Never got to see the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
There are multiple generations of Dolphins fans that are experiencing that same thing, and it's just awful down there. And so, lucky for them, they got the Clevelander and they got some sandy beaches.
And we feel for you. And we feel for you because we come at this Twin Cities Orthopedic Center, TCO PC Tuesday, with what is opposite of a braggadocious duo, thinking about our 3-0 squad that might head into Lambeau Field and kill somebody again. I mean, go ahead and tell me it can't happen. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and we move on from there. Go ahead and tell C.J. Stroud that his team's not going to get killed. Go ahead and tell Kyle Shanahan that his staff's not going to get handled. I mean, go ahead and open social media, and all you see are Devin McCourty and Chris Sims putting videos out like breaking down Brian Flores and the Vikings D, which is on a serious heater right now. And then Chris says, not sure I remember C.J. Stroud looking this uncomfortable. He played 2 playoff games in his rookie year. He didn't throw an interception until he ran into Flores. 9 consecutive games. Are you kidding me with this? You got Dan Orlovsky saying Sam Darnold's having a wonderful season, and Kevin O'Connell may be the best play designer and cultivator of a quarterback in the National Football League. There's a lot of shine here right now. Kevin O'Connell at 11 o'clock with 9 to noon. So we wanted to let a Forlorn 4 know we think about you. We feel for you.
Yeah.
We've been there, and we're happy that you didn't mock us along the way, because we're not mocking you. We're just letting you know that you are fan base immortality, Miami and Dallas, and we feel for you. And we'll see what happens with the next Forlorn 4, because off what we saw last night, a Shad Khan's fan base is about ready to make this a Forlorn 5. Oh, Jacksonville, what in the hell has happened? All right, we digress. It is a Tuesday at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, and I'm Paul Allen. The producer is Eric Nordquist. He's producer 1 via social media. Please follow him as 9 to noon does. And Max Fuller guides the Great Chip Love Covenant from the 651 Carpets Plus Studios, courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes Vikes Bites around the corner. The scribe, Ben Gessling, covers the team for the Star Tribune. He will be here with us at 10 o'clock. Kevin O'Connell joins us for an elongated marathon type segment at about 11 o'clock. And Main Man G with some Kevin O'Connell fan line and some things that bid us from the privilege of having a 25 to 30 minute chat with a head coach of an undefeated team at 11 o'clock. Thank you for listening to KFAN. Thank you for listening to 9 to noon. Vikes Bites are next.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
The previous segment, our marathon segment, provided by FVP Batteries and FVPparts.com. FVP, reach for what works.
And I'll look one patch down on my NASCAR jacket, PA, and I bring you Vikes Bites, which is presented by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. Whether you're shopping online at the website, you're checking them out in your local Coburns and Co-ops locations, or you're just a big Gopher sports fan, they're a sponsor of Gopher Athletics, keeping the good local kids home. Check out Thousand Hills today, a Clearwater, Minnesota company. And I want to start here with the quarterback. It was announced yesterday in the press conference that no structural damage had been seen during further evaluation of the knee of Sam Darnold, which is a good thing. But at what point, PA, do we start going from shocked to just expecting it, where Sam Darnold is 4th in yards per attempt, 8.4. He's tops in TDs. He's got 8 of them. He's second in. Now, I didn't include Dalton in this because of the singular effort against the Raiders. I think he came in at some point during the previous game. They were just done with Bryce.
Fair.
But he's second in the NFL in passer rating, 117.3. At what point do we start turning the page from, man, this is unbelievable what Kevin O'Connell has done with Sam Darnold, props to Sam for taking advantage of the opportunity, to, well, Sam's good, and this is what Sam should be doing on a weekly basis. I'm balancing that mentally right now.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, because the 3-minute diatribe on which you went yesterday about this is not fool's gold, but he's a placeholder for J.J. McCarthy. So let's not get super excited over this, because when J.J.'s 22 next year, he's going to be bigger and better, and that may be the case. FINA, Fairness in Order to Act, he did not really say that, but with Darnold, it has to go in unison. Okay, when you play in a system, you inherently. A system like what Kevin O'Connell runs, you inherently become a, quote, system, end quote, quarterback. Jordan Love is like that with LaFleur, Purdy with Shanahan, Stafford with McVay, and so on. You have to follow the plan, and if you follow the plan, you can win a lot of games. Well, Sam is very attuned to the plan. Now, the plan breaks down sometimes. So therefore, when it breaks down, well, then now you have to have the God-given gifts of moving and keeping your head down the field and going play action out of the end zone and not freaking out that Bosa's single-teamed and Fred Warner is blitzing up the middle and you need a running back to pick him up. So all of that comes back to Sam, where it's O'Connell's work with Darnold and, you know, just learning more about Sam and how he processes things. It's fascinating because they're all different, and like with Sam, and there's much more work to be done with this, but like I don't think Sam's the kind of guy that you want to flood 8 things in his mind off one play. I think it's here it is, it works, and he's like okay, and then that's cool. Then he perfects it and plays off of it. So the unison, the cohesion, and what Sam Darnold is doing now. You know, I saw a clip on social media this morning from the Pat McAfee show yesterday with Bill Belichick, where Belichick was like, well, the Jets are the only team that didn't like him. Everybody's always liked him. Carolina liked him. I knew a bunch of coaches down there who said good things about him. I've talked to O'Connell about him. There are 18 things Kevin likes about him. Next level Shanny loved him out there and what he brought to the quarterback room. The only people who didn't like him were the Jets. Jets catching an immortality-like stray out of nowhere, just kind of minding their business this week. But
who was that? That was Adam Gase, right? And people love Adam Gase so much that he's not in the league anymore.
That was Adam Gase.
I think it was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Vikes Bites, brought to you by Thousand Hills. Just simply enough, Jalen Naylor threw three games, 3 TDs. Mm-hmm. Does this offense ever feel in some ways like it's checking boxes? And what I mean by that, I kind of put it this way during Fan Line, but it's just intriguing to me. Justin Jefferson, we got to feed 18. We got to make 18 open. We got to get 18 the ball. 18's going to make plays. 18's going to get in the end zone. 3 games, 3 TDs for Justin Jefferson.
Right, kind of a Randy ratio or not.
Well, yeah, it's probably not built down in statistics, but we want to get Justin Jefferson in the mix. He's an elite player. We know that. But it's felt like in each of the games that at some point, turning the page, Kevin O'Connell's like, all right, I need to get, this is a Naylor drive. This is a Naylor moment. This is a Naylor play. Whether it was a touchdown, kind of that motion by Justin Jefferson that allowed Naylor to be wide open in the end zone.
Oh, the Giants game?
Yes, it's the short motion in week 2 against the Niners. Yep. And then the ability, and ultimately, frankly, Naylor outran a guy, and it was good visual work by Sam to push that defensive back to the right to look at Jefferson.
Brilliantly stated, because the way O'Connell laid out the play action Jefferson 97 last week, I mean, it had you all wide-eyed. I was looking at you when I was asking the question, his response, you were like, wow, this is unbelievable. So much so you and Bursic talked about it after. So that kind of triggered with me that, you know, when I watch these plays back, that there needs to be head coach deep dive analysis of what happens to a single play that leads to a touchdown. And that's the play this week for O'Connell at 11 o'clock, because Darnold looks left, shakes his shoulders, and then here comes Naylor left to right, outrunning somebody. So that's in diabolical fashion. That's, I know my guy's faster than pretty much everybody you have on defense. And if you don't get to this guy within 1.9 seconds, the quarterback, there's zero chance you have this guy's going to keep up with him running like 15 yards across the end zone. Just to get to that point, though, what goes into it? That's the that'll be the diabolical design with KO today at 11. But anyway,
it almost seems like in each game, and whether it's conscious or not, it's like we have this Naylor bit in our pocket, and we're going to unleash it.
Yes.
And obviously, it's leading to good things. Last bit for you, Vikes Bites style. And then I got a talkback opportunity for the listeners. I want to pump that before we go to break. But
sweet.
Time of possession, it's kind of been
O'Connell loved that bit last week, by the way.
Oh, and it turned out great. And the listeners sent in some awesome talkbacks. We can only use one, but just really thankful that people do that and take the time to. Time of possession, a little lopsided the first two games, ended up darn near even at the end of the 34-7 win on Sunday. Vikings outpossessed 18-11 in the first half, and then had several 4-minute possessions, including that touchdown right out of the break, long field goal drive later, another touchdown that effectively put the whole thing on ice. But talking about sustaining, it was something we talked about after the Niners game, where this defense, as good as it is, as much as they're able to rotate, this time of possession, it's got to pull it back in the favor. I thought it was really impressive by Kevin O'Connell, specifically on the ground game, to really take control and put this thing on ice as early as they did. It seems like that's been a focus for them, and at least for 1 week. It played out in their favor as massive disadvantage in the first half, and they flipped that script in the second half and cruised their way to victory.
And yesterday, 9 to noon, spent a fair amount in the open, and during the course of the show, just trying to identify, what is this? I mean, sir, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What is this? Super well respected staffs with rookies of the year and teams that go to the Super Bowl just getting bludgeoned. What is this? And we went down the road of just how on fire this Minnesota Vikings coaching staff is right now.
They're hot.
And then you open up, social media last night and this morning, and you're getting a lot of the Nationals, and we're not making fun of them because they follow the entire league, as do we, but we, pretty much hone in on one team and one division, and the bouquets, the flowers and the praise for the likes of Flores and O'Connell and Matt Daniels and special teams, it's off the charts. And while that's very true, what's transpiring here with this coaching staff just being steps ahead of the first three staffs that they faced, is what Nordo just said. This run-pass balance, something for which fans have been a little aggravated or pining.
I've been begging for it.
Well, it's, the coach throws 61% of the time his first season here, and it's tough to get mad at things when you win 13 games. But then you move on, and it's really tough to analyze like a run-pass balance when you end up with Madison and second-year Chandler as your tailbacks, and you're trying to run play action using Josh Dobbs. So that got tough too. Well, now it's settled into stride where you have a veteran quarterback, a veteran running back who's lickety-split fast, a backup who now basically completely gets it in Ty Chandler.
Yeah.
And therefore, the run-pass balance being 50-50-esque is absolutely part of the obliterating and destruction of these teams the Vikings have played. And we'll see what's next with Lambeau Field. Speaking of Lambeau Field, Willis or Love or Willis this weekend, and does it really matter at this stage? We will discuss that when we return to 9 to noon from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, home to the Minnesota Vikings. It is a TCO Tuesday on KFAN.
The Minnesota Renaissance Festival is happening now through September 29th, and we've got your chance to win tickets. Head over to our contest page for your chance to win today. That's KFAN.com. The keyword is contest to enter.
to noon, back in play at 9:52. The scribe, Ben Gessling, joins us about 10 minutes from now to analyze red-hot Minnesota Vikings football. This is First Place Radio. And the Minnesota Vikings at 3-0 head to Lambeau Field to take on the 2-1 Green Bay Packers, a team that lost its first game. Then Malik Willis became the quarterback, and the team has gone 2-0. Malik Willis at the helm, or possibly could it be this guy?
Takes the Myers snap. Minnesota rushes 3. Love, straight drop. Fires it center of the field and intercepted. It was picked off in front of Jaden Reed. Here comes Josh Metellus to the 50, to the 40. Far side to the 35. Leaps over a Packer at the 25. Here's Josh Metellus with a big interception. Middle of the third quarter, and the Vikings have turned over all that is green and gold.
Is it really in the best interest of the Green Bay Packers to dust off Jordan Love against a defense leading the league in sacks and humiliating the ballyhooed? And that would be C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Deebo Samuel to a certain extent. George Kittle got us for a little bit, but you understand the bit here. This squad rolling into Lambeau Field this weekend, this ain't the Jaron Hall-led team with a bunch of tired defensive players you rocked last year. I mean, rabbits are popping out of hats. Houdini escapes. Flores is always guessing right in the shell game of defensive life. LaFleur's Willis run plays, by the way, I watched him yesterday. Holy cow. Matt's playing fast right now, man. I mean, he had some running plays where after they got a few from Josh Jacobs, well, then they could now do run pass option, fake the wishbone and things like that. And Malik Willis is legitimately a threat with his legs, and he's just good at it, and he knows how to hold the ball and everything. And I like those run plays that they were unfurling against the Tennessee Titans with Malik Willis. He's 2-0, and you have the Rams after the Vikings. So does it behoove Green Bay to use Jordan Love in this situation? And who would we rather face and why? Malik Willis and his feet and his fleet of footways, or Jordan Love, who would have the full menu of plays, which there's no chance Willis has the full menu of plays. Right. Love would have the full menu of plays at his disposal. What do you think?
Well, I think you'd always rather face Malik Willis than Jordan Love. And Jordan Love had a tough outing before he got hurt down in Brazil. But Malik, and he's averaging 9 a clip on the ground. So, and it definitely works. And I've gone down the road the last few days of really praising Matt LaFleur. I have a ton of respect for him as a coach, and specifically the last 2 games, albeit maybe it's Tennessee, you get the pick 6, all that. But these guys go out effectively with a guy they just picked up off the street like a week ago, right, and they win a couple of games and do so in mostly convincing fashion. But I'd always rather face the backup. I'd rather face a situation where Malik Willis, who he's got a tendency to either bail out early or he's going to hold the ball too long. And these are just the struggles of a quarterback that has really failed in this short period of time he's had to develop as a QB. Yeah. I'd always rather take my chances with the backup, and Jordan Love, is their confidence in the knee and what that's going to look like specifically early in the game. But in the end, the way that they've had to deploy Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson on the ground, and it was a little bit better against Tennessee, but ultimately Jordan Love being able to open up that entire playbook, as you mentioned, get Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks and all these guys moving and putting pressure on our pass defense. No, I'll take Willis 100 out of 100 times, right, versus Jordan Love coming back this weekend. And that's just respect for Love. That's respect for LaFleur. But definitely props to the ugly green and golders across the border that they have figured out in short-term fashion to make this Willis thing work. But it will turn back into a pumpkin. This is not a thing that I don't believe it's sustainable for a long period of time. Terrific stopgap work by the Packers to get W's while they wait for Jordan Love, but I'd rather take Willis than over Love as a Vikings fan.
As would I, but with the question being, does it behoove Green Bay to bring him back this week with the Rams on the horizon. I mean, yes, 10 of 10 times you want your best player at that position, and 10 of 10 times you don't want to play scared. But it also is factual what the Vikings are doing with sacks and quarterback hits and defensively giving up 10 a game is different than what the Los Angeles Rams are doing.
Yeah, it's tough. And defensively,
you see what I'm saying?
No, that's a good point.
But you don't want to play scared, where it's not going to get out. If you're like, he's 92% of the way there. Okay, so say we can bring him back, or we can get him closer to 100 and bring him back against those guys and kind of let him better settle into stride.
Yeah, do you play the game of it's in L.A. versus playing the game that it's at Lambeau?
No, because
the Rams' defense has been hideous through 3 weeks.
But there will be 60% of SoFi will be Packers fans.
Oh, that's a good point, too.
The Niners bit, like I just spitballed yesterday.
Is that like Beverly Hillbillies where they show up to L.A. for the big game?
Well, it's what it is it's investment-related terrorism where you get people buying season tickets, and there are 3 games a year, say the Niners, say the Packers. If the Steelers or Vikings are on the schedule, which they are, well, you could sell those for double face.
That's true.
Especially if the team's good, so they pay for a full season with 1 or 2 games. It's kind of a crafty move until 70% of the fans in the building are wearing scarlet red and metallic gold and supporting the wrong team.
Yeah, maybe since they went 2 for 2, they can potentially eyeball this and play. They can play that game of if he is only 92%, would we rather he's 98 a week from now against the Rams?
Right.
There is a significant, at least through 3 weeks, there's a massive step down in class defensively from the Vikings to the Rams.
Right.
And so,
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, on paper, it does sound like maybe you roll with Willis at home and you try to squeeze a third one out of this. But in a division now where the Vikings did not start 1-2 and they're 3-0, if I'm LaFleur, I'm thinking about how important these division wins are. I'm thinking about the rivalry nature of the border battle and how tight the NFC North looks like it can become. Kitties aren't going to go away. They haven't looked flashy at times. They got to get much better than what they should be. But if I'm LaFleur, I'd probably start Love here because I want my best shot to win a division game at home against the Purple.
Boom! Welcome in. The water's warm. We'll be right back.